Well, I'm Jason with the All Things Open team. I'm here with Abdel. Please introduce yourself to the All Things Open community.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Abdel. I am a cloud developer advocate at Google. I co-host a podcast called Kubernetes Podcast by Google, and I basically work on anything related to Kubernetes, containers, service mesh, security, and now LLMs.
Awesome. Thanks for what you do. Can you briefly tell us what's involved in training a large language model?
GPUs. I have actually a meme in my slides, which is like, if you have GPUs, you will get VC money. Training large language models are not, large language model specifically, they're not like kind of special type of workloads. They're just like huge files that need to run on a distributed system, and hence Kubernetes is actually what I'm going to talk about today, using Kubernetes itself to be able to train a large language model. So you need a lot of resources, so GPU, CPU, memory. You need also storage, and specifically shared storage, because if you're doing a distributed training, after each training phase, you need to be able to commit the language model back to storage. So you need a shared storage across all the nodes in the cluster that are going to be part of this distributed training.
Tell me more about your Kubernetes podcast that you co-host.
Yes, so it's a podcast I've been co-hosting for 2 years with my awesome co-host called Kathleen Fields. She works also at Google. We've been doing it. It's like every 2 weeks we have an episode with the special guest, some topic. The podcast itself has existed for a while. We took it over from another host, and I think we have built enough community and enough like notoriety for the show that now pretty much we can get anybody we want on the show.
That's great.
So it's really cool. We talk to a lot of people from all over the place. It's not only Kubernetes anymore. It's like all the cloud native stuff. So yeah, whatever topic related to cloud native, we're happy to talk about it.
All right, give it a listen, y'all. What excites you about making technology choices, and do you have any tips on how to approach new technology?
Yes, sure. Let's start with the tips. I think that generally, like the tip I give all the time is you need to be a good computer scientist. If you have fundamental understanding of the fundamental knowledge of computer science, like distributed system programming, algorithms, a little bit of networking, a little bit of databases, a little bit of reliability, then pretty much any technology should be easy to understand, right? I think that's what we fundamentally kind of ignore all the time is that those new technologies that show up all the time, they are hardly new. They are just abstraction on top of existing stuff. We're just making things easier for people. And so if you have that basic understanding of technology, and then you have that basic understanding of why this thing exists and why it's better at doing something that rather than the other way, then any technology should be easy to understand.
Got it. How could someone new to open source get involved, and where would you recommend they get started?
Sure. You don't necessarily need to start by programming. I think my approach to open source is always start with something simple. Documentation is a great way to do that. I think a lot of people who write code hate writing documentation, so if you're good at writing documentation, they will appreciate that. Writing tutorials for technology, like pick whatever technology, get used to it, and then write something about, like an article about how you can use it in a specific context for a specific use case. That's another great way of getting involved. And then as you're feeling comfortable with the community and with the tool, contribute code. Just go, typically, if the tool is on GitHub, which let's face it, most of them are, if it's on GitHub, if you go to the issues page on GitHub, usually they will have labels, and you can look for a label around the lines of like good for first committers or good for first contributors, or like those are like the easy issues that no one has time to do, and they are still like simple enough simple enough. Just make sure to read the contributing guide, because that's something that a lot of people miss. Don't anger the maintainers.
That's right. Make sure you do it the right way. Are you using any AI in your projects or personal work? And if so, what tools are you using, and what are you doing with them?
Hey, this is Todd with All Things Open. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button. We've got a lot of new content coming we think you're going to be interested in. One final favor, be sure to go to allthingsopen.org, allthingsopen.org to see everything that we do. Back to the video.
I use I use Gemini quite a lot, the Google one. I use Claude as well sometimes. It's mostly for summarizing documents, summarizing conversations. I've been actually experimenting with Notebook LM that we released a few weeks ago. It's a great way to actually take a video in and then get a summary of the video, not the transcript, the actual summary. It can actually do it across like a lot of videos. So it takes multiple sources as an input, and then it can generate that stuff. So I use it in that context. I don't use it for coding. I don't think that like I'm still not convinced that LLMs are actually pretty good at doing coding, generating code. So it's mostly summarizing, coming up with like rewriting something. Like if I write something and I'm not happy with it, I would just like give it to the LLM to like rewrite it for me. And then on the other side, I am actually working on the MLOps side. So like actually, how do you deploy these things to production, right? So.
Oh, cool. Do you have any tips, best practices, or new tools that you're using to share with the All Things Open community?
Go listen to my podcast, the Kubernetes Podcast by Google, so kubernetespodcast.com. I mean, Google is your best friend. I don't really have any specific kind of tools. I think that I started using Arc recently. It's a browser called Arc, ARC, and it's pretty good because it has like, I like the tabs on the side, not on the top. And it's actually pretty good at organizing your kind of like workflow. And I use I'm pretty basic. I use Notion for note taking. I write also I write a newsletter on LinkedIn called This Week in GKE. That's more like a product-based newsletter for our products called GKE, but I also share a lot of things about open source and stuff. So I use Notion for that. I like Notion. I don't really use any of the AI stuff that is built in because now everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
Just keep it basic. I am a firm believer of keeping it basic.
Sounds great. Oh, thanks for sharing those tips. I might have to check out Arc. That sounds really cool.
Thank you.
Abdel, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.